Charlie Monette is working on team collaboration, level 3 elective Connect with Storytelling. His speech is Big Bird. International travel can be exciting. We expect to experience new locales, different cultures, even different food. Our next speaker will tell about a trip when all of these things were true, but with an added twist. Please welcome Charlie with his speech, Big Bird.
Have you ever been on a trip to an exotic location only to figure out that years later, what you remember about that trip most had nothing to do with the reason that you went there in the first place? Well, let me tell you a story about that. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, there's a special island. It's an island in the Aegean Sea. And it has a reputation for being one of the most visited places in the Mediterranean. This island is named Mykonos. Now, Mykonos is a small, sun-drenched Greek island. It has the narrow streets, the white stucco, blue trim, the architecture that you see in all of the guidebooks. And it's got great beaches, got tavernas, got nightclubs, and it's just the place to be. But most importantly, Delos is there. And Mykonos is the only place that you can depart from to actually visit the island of Delos, which is a magical place. Because this is the place that 3,000 years ago was the center of commerce for the whole Mediterranean. And you can see the ruins of how people lived there. Apollo and Artemis were born there, and you can see their temples, and it's absolutely incredible. And according to the legend, still maintained today, no one can live or die or be born on Delos. Now, we were on a sailing vacation, and we were sailing through the islands of the Aegean Sea. But you can see with all those features that I talked about, Mykonos had to be on our itinerary, didn't it? We were going there. Well, we sailed into the harbor of Mykonos, and we found a beautiful mooring right on the seawall downtown. And we secured our boat, and we're excited because we're going into town. We're ready. There, as we started exploring the town, we saw him. A great, big, giant, white pelican. Snow white. He stood about 5 feet tall. And he captured our imagination. And we watched him. And as he strutted around town, he would go in stores. He would go into tavernas. He would go wherever he wanted to go. And no matter what faux pas he might commit, nobody tried to shoo him away or even seem upset that he was there. Now, this seemed strange. But it was later on that we figured out why. Because we went to the gift shop, and there they had postcards with his picture on it. They had keychains and medallions with his likeness on it that they sold in the gift shop. And what it amounted to, this bird had become a marketing icon for the whole town. Now that might seem very strange to you, doesn't it? Now let me tell you about really strange. Arlinda and I were sitting by the sea at the taverna having lunch, We struck up a conversation with the man in the next table to us and found out he was British and he had just arrived on the island. And while we were having our conversation, out of nowhere comes striding this giant bird towards us. Now, before we could even react, the man just put up his hand and said, "It's okay, don't be alarmed. The bird's coming to see me." And sure enough, that bird went walking right up to him, curled his neck up around, laid in that man's lap, and started making a noise like a purring kitten. And that man there, he stroked the head of that bird and just kind of talked to him a little bit. Now, as you can well imagine, that probably spurred a little bit of conversation about what this was all about. And so the man told us the story. It seems a number of years ago, he'd been visiting the island. And while he was there, this great big pelican came flying in right to him where he was. And he fed the pelican off of his plate, some food that he had. And he petted him. And from that moment on, while he was there, the pelican followed him everywhere around that island. That was odd. And a year later, the man returned. Now, he hadn't thought about that bird at all in the year that he was gone. But after he got there, lo and behold, he no longer got there, went out of nowhere. Here comes the bird. Bird marching across, nuzzling up against him and wanting to put his head in his lap. And he talked to the locals. And the locals said that bird had not left that island in a year. And again, the bird followed him around the island the whole time he was there, never leaving him. So now that man comes back to that island 2 or 3 times a year just to see the bird. And he has a sense that if he didn't show up, that the bird would be heartbroken. And because that, this man is compelled, he has to come and see that bird. Now, if I had not seen this firsthand, there's no way I would have believed this. But there it was. Now, is there some deep meaning takeaway from this story? I don't think so. It's just a story. And who knew that I would have to travel 6,000 miles just to have a story that I could tell at a Toastmaster meeting? But think about this. I'll bet you have a story. When are you going to tell us about it, Madam Toastmaster?